Hello students, welcome to KENE'S Educare, a group of KENE solutions. This is part 7 of lesson number 13, Why Do We Fall Ill? So in the last class, we discussed with respect to causes of diseases, how exactly the disease is spreading from one individual to other, right? So I hope you are clear till there, like whatever we have discussed till part 6, right? Now we are just left with discussing about means of spread of disease. Then after discussing about this means of spread of disease in detail, we will be discussing on principle of prevention and principle of treatment, and then we have in short about immunization, which is very important to keep us healthy so that we are not falling ill, because it's when any bacteria or virus or protozoan it enters your body. Okay, we have macrophages who are always ready to fight against those bacteria and all, but they will be present if the immunity is strong. If the immunity is weak, then there will be an issue where, because like macrophages, they will become weak, okay, in front of those bacteria and all. So that is going to be a concern, okay. So we need to make sure that we are keeping our immunity strong anyhow at any cost, because that is what is going to save us from falling ill. So in this lesson, you're getting the answer to this question. Why do we fall ill? Because in the last class, you studied about the causes of diseases, right? You studied about some of the microscopic pictures that I showed you with respect to leishmania, then some of the protozoan bacteria, protozoans which cause disease, about the SARS virus, right? So now you know that there are different diseases which have been caused by different group of bacteria, viruses, protozoan, right? So before I start with this part, that is part 7 of the lesson, where I'm going to start with means of spread of disease. Okay, like how exactly, what are the different agents through which you can say disease has been caused, because you know the causes, you know about the infectious, non-infectious diseases, right? You have already started all the basic points, so I don't have to go back and revise everything for you all, right? Now because as we are on to part 7, the revision that you're going to do is going to be different, right? You just have to see the topic and you have to tell it, like you have to speak to yourself what we have studied in that topic. That's it. Okay, this kind of revision I want from you all when I start showing you the slide. For now, please go through all the notes that you have taken starting from part 1 till part 6. Okay, whatever notes you are taking, because you are writing all the important points which is going to help you further. So please go through it, everyone. I hope every one of you have started revising it. I hope you all are done revising the notes that you have taken. So now I'm going to show you the slides one by one. I want you all to please go through all the slides and do the same kind of revision that I asked for. Okay, you have to just look at the topic, and then whatever content has been given, you should be able to explain it in your own words to yourself. If you can do this, you can like explain it to anyone. I hope you can like, if you have been asked to write a note on significance of health, you can write that in your own words, right? And the subtopic that you can see is health and its failure. So you have to relate both the topics and come up with an answer for it. Okay? Okay, so after the significance of health, the next thing that we discussed was personal and community issue. They both matter for health, right? So under this also, like, you should be able to write a brief on it when it comes to writing on how personal and community issue both matters for health. It's not that if you're eating, if you are eating hygienic food, if you're eating proper diet, taking in proper nutrient, okay, but what if the surrounding around you, the community where you're living, is very you can say negative. So in that case, you eating your proper food, you will be physically fit, but what about your mental state and your social state? Because health means you are completely in a state of well-being, physically, mentally, and socially as well, right? So now you should be able to write a brief note on this as well, that both personal and community issues matter for health. Okay. I hope you all are able to like talk about personal and community issue to yourself. Like I think of that I should be able to hear you as well, right? But like unfortunately I can't. But I want you to talk to yourself with respect to this topic. After this personal and community issues, we discussed onto the five F's that you should be knowing, and we discussed it along with the practice of hygiene and sanitation that should be maintained, right? So I want y'all to please go through those five F's, like not go through it, just talk about it to yourself. After this 5 F's, we discussed on the distinction between being healthy and being disease free. So I want you all to please discuss about this as well with you all. I hope you are able to discuss about like being healthy and being disease free, because there is a distinction that lies between both, right? After being discussed about like distinction between being healthy and disease free, we discussed on like what exactly disease look like and what are the causes of disease, right? So please discuss on this as well with yourself, everyone. Then after that, here we have discussed on the signs and the symptoms part. Please quickly give a quick glance through this. After this, we discussed on the acute and the chronic diseases. So you might be knowing about this as well, what exactly acute and chronic diseases are, right? So I want you all to come up with some different examples this time, not the same example that we discussed. Some of the other example of acute and chronic disease. Then we discussed on chronic diseases and poor health, like how chronic disease can lead to poor health because of the weak immunity, right? So I want you all to discuss the same with yourself. I hope you all are discussing with yourself about the chronic disease and how the chronic disease can lead to poor health, right? After this chronic disease and poor health, we discussed on the causes of diseases. So please discuss the same, everyone. So I hope now you know what are the causes, like the reasons of getting diseases. So we have discussed it like with an example of water which was given to a baby, right? So I want you all to please go through this slide as well and try to explain it in your own words as well. After this causes of diseases, here we have all the three explanation, like we got the reasons of why the baby was, like one of the baby was suffering from the disease while the other baby was like healthy, right? So we have all the three causes which are been found over here, and I want each one of you to please go through it quickly. I hope you all are going through all the three causes which have been given over here. After this, we discussed on infectious and non-infectious causes. So please go through it as well. Now I'm giving you a proper time for revision. So make sure you all are revising it and you will be able to understand how to answer the questions as well. Right? I hope you all are going through this slide, everyone. I hope you all are going through this slide, everyone. So after this, infectious and non-infectious causes. Here we have seen some of the pictures of how infectious diseases look like, right? Then we discussed on infectious agents. So I want you all to please go through this slide, everyone. Then here we have few of the pictures of virus, bacteria and protozoan. So I want you all to please go through it quickly. Then over here we discussed on the examples like how do we exactly treat viruses and bacteria. There is a different mechanism for all, right? So I want you all to please go through this slide as well. So you should be knowing about how exactly antibiotic work, right? And I hope you are aware of it. Then over here we have the like how exactly bacteria works. Like if any bacteria is entering your body, you're taking the antibiotic for that, right? So that antibiotic is going to break the cell wall of the bacteria, which is very important. Okay, so once the cell wall of the bacteria is been like broken down, the bacteria cannot survive for like more amount of time because the cell wall act as a protection, like you can say a protective layer for that bacteria to survive, and that is the reason that whatever antibiotics that we take, the most important function of that antibiotic to go and break the cell wall of that bacteria. Okay, so that is how the antibiotics function. So I want you all to please go through it. after this, we now have to discuss on how exactly the disease spread, right? So you know about infectious and non-infectious diseases, right? Infectious diseases are the one that are going to cause diseases and is going to be infectious. That is, it is going to spread from one person to other, right? So there are many microbial agents that can move from an affected person to someone else in a variety of ways, right? We can have a very big list of microbial agents who are moving from an infected person to someone else, and there are different ways in which they move, right? So in other words, they can be communicated, and that is why we call such type of diseases as communicable. Means they can get transferred from one person to other. So like COVID, as I'm telling you repeatedly, because that is one of the best example we all have seen, we all have you can say visualized, we all have gone through that phase, right? So we know that how it was spreading from one person to other, right? So that is called as communicable disease. Okay, so such disease causing microbes, they can spread through air. This occurs through the tiny droplets which have been thrown out by an infected person who sneezes or coughs. Now, let's say if any individual is suffering from COVID, we saw that the person was isolated, right? And that person, every one of us were wearing mask because we don't know who is affected, right? So whenever we speak, some minute droplets, they get mixed in the air, and that is how it was spreading. So everyone was wearing mask so that this tiny little droplet should not get mixed in the air and should not affect the person, should not affect the other person, right? So someone standing close by can breathe in these droplets, and microbes get a chance to start a new infection. Now, let's suppose I'm standing with a group of 5 people, among whom one is infected with COVID, and that person has sneezed. Now, what will happen? The droplets from the sneeze will get mixed in the air, and like the person who is standing around that person who sneezed, okay, is going to breathe in that, and now the microbe has got a new body where it can start a new infection again. So example of such disease that spread through air, they are common cold, pneumonia, and tuberculosis. These are some of the examples of diseases which spread through air. Okay, and we all have the experience of sitting near someone suffering from cold and catching it ourselves, right? Many of you might have experienced this, like one of your friend had it, and like next day you will also have it. So it's because you have breathed in that bacteria. Okay, and obviously the more crowded our living conditions are, the more likely it is that such airborne diseases will spread. And airborne diseases, they spread through this mechanism itself, like whenever we are speaking, some little droplets, they get mixed in like in the air, and that is how they spread diseases. Okay, now diseases can also be spread through water, not only through air but also through water. So this occurs if the excreta from someone suffering from an infectious gut disease such as cholera get mixed with the drinking water by the people living nearby. Okay, now in this case, waterborne diseases have been caused if the excreta of someone suffering from disease, let's say a person is suffering from cholera, and that person's excreta get mixed with the drinking water, and then everyone is drinking that water. So this is how like cholera will be spread. Okay, so the cholera causing microbes will enter a healthy person through the water they drink and cause disease in them. So this cholera causing microbe, what will happen? They will enter the like healthy person, through water, and then this is how the disease will spread in them. So such diseases are much more likely to spread in the absence of safe supplies of drinking water, because we need to treat the water that like we get, right? We should not drink the water directly from the lakes, rivers and ponds. That needs to be treated, and if it is not being treated, if there is no safe supply of drinking water, then people suffer from such kind of diseases. Okay, so the sexual act is one of the closest physical contact two people can have with each other. So there are many diseases which spread through sexual contact as well. And not surprisingly, there are microbial infections such as syphilis or AIDS that are transmitted by sexual contact from one person to the other. And this occurs in like most of the cases where either the male or the female, they have been involved with multiple partners. Okay, then in that case, what happens if one of them was suffering from AIDS or HIV, the it is going to spread, like that will be a chain then. Okay. I hope you all are writing all the important points, but we have to discuss about the sexual transmission of disease, which I'm going to do that on the next slide. I hope every one of you are done writing all the important points from screen. Now the next thing over here we need to discuss is about the sexually transmitted disease. Okay, so STD, we call it as STDs. All the sexually transmitted disease, we use a short form for that, that is STDs. However, such sexually transmitted disease, they are not spread by casual physical contact. So casual physical contact, they are not going to cause this STDs. Okay, casual physical contact includes like handshakes, hugs, or like sports like wrestling, or by any of the other way in which we touch each other socially. So that casual physical contacts, they are not the reason for the sexually transmitted disease. Okay, then other than the sexual contact, the virus causing AIDS. Now, the virus causing AIDS is HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. I want you all to write the full form for this. HIV, it's human immunodeficiency virus. Now, what happens? The immune becomes very weak when a person suffers from AIDS, and that is why the full form of like it has been caused, AIDS has been caused by virus, that is human immunodeficiency virus. It can also spread through blood to blood contact with infected people, or from an infected mother to her baby during pregnancy or through breastfeeding. So how this aid is been spread, like if you are an in like if there's an infected person and if you take the blood from that infected person suffering from AIDS, and the blood is in your body now as well, so you can even suffer from AIDS. Okay, then an infected mother can also transmit AIDS to baby during pregnancy or while she is breastfeeding her. Okay, so we live in an environment that is full of many other creatures apart from us, right? So it is inevitable that many diseases will be transmitted by other animals as well. So these animals, they carry the infecting agents from a sick person to another potential host, and thus are the intermediaries and are called vectors. So animals, because they are the agents that are causing the disease, right? So that is the reason we call them as vectors. Okay. I hope you all are writing this. So the disease can either be communicable, that is, it can spread from an infected person to an healthy person. Okay, so that type of disease will be communicable, or it can even be non-communicable. Non-communicable diseases are the one which doesn't spread from one like from an infected person to the other. Okay, so I hope you all are writing about vectors and how exactly AIDS have been caused, right? So please write this from screen. Then we have one more part to discuss and then I'll stop this lesson. But please write this part. Then after this, here we have the commonest vector that we know, that those are mosquitoes, right? There are some of the diseases which have been caused by mosquitoes as well, like dengue and malaria, right? So in many species of mosquitoes, the female needs highly nutritious food in the form of blood in order to be able to lay mature eggs. So if you know, like every time when a mosquito bites you, it's a female mosquito. Male mosquito doesn't bite. Like the name of it is Anopheles. Okay, so it's always a female mosquito that bites. Male mosquito doesn't, and the reason is because that female mosquito has to lay mature eggs. It needs highly nutritious food in the form of blood. Okay, so mosquitoes feed on many warm-blooded animals, including us, and this is how they transfer diseases. So if you can see the figure 13.2, which has been shown on screen, we can see some of the common methods of transmission of diseases, right? So through direct contact is through sexually transmitted disease that we studied, like AIDS. It can get transferred because of the virus which causes this AIDS is HIV. The full form of HIV is human immunodeficiency virus. Okay, then even like disease can be transmitted through air, that is through mosquitoes or through vectors. Through vectors, it's like rabid animals. If you can see, through animals also the diseases have been spread, right? And through indirect contact includes like through water, or like there are many different ways, sharing of clots, blood. These are some of the direct and indirect, you can say, contacts through which diseases spread. Okay, so I want you all to draw this, how the transmission of disease takes place, and please be quick with this, and just show the infected person and a healthy person and show the means of transmission. That's it. So I hope you all are drawing this. So now the next thing that we need to study is organ specific and tissue specific manifestations, right? So I will be doing that in the next class. So we are left with this organ specific and tissue specific manifestation. Then after that we will be discussing on principles of treatment and principles of prevention, and then we have a short concept on immunization to discuss. Okay, so maybe two more parts. Okay, so make sure you are revising, like in this part you have revised it very well, right? So make sure you keep on revising everything that we had studied so far, and whatever we discussed today as well, you need to keep on revising all those parts as well. Okay, so we will be discussing on principles of treatment, then we have principles of prevention, and at the end we have to discuss in short about immunization. Okay, now immunization is also one of the important topic in the whole lesson. Why do we fall ill? Though it has been given at the end, make sure you know this while I teach you. Okay, and then after that we have the summary discussion, and there are 6 exercise questions that we will be discussing on. So I'm going to show you the questions one by one, but please make sure you go through all the questions and you remember the questions as well. Okay, so the first exercise question that we have is, how many times did you fall ill in the last 1 year and what were the illness? Okay, so these are some common questions that they have given. We'll discuss them all in the end. So please go through the question. Okay, so this is the last question that we will be discussing in the whole lesson. after I complete with the whole lesson, why do we fall ill. And I hope whatever we discussed, how exactly the diseases spread, we discussed that in this part of the lesson, right? So I hope every one of you have understood whatever has been discussed in this part of the lesson, and I will be continuing with whatever part that we are left with, that is organ specific and tissue specific manifestation, principle of treatment, principle of prevention, immunization. These are the four topics that we are still left with. So I'll be continuing with that in the next part. But make sure you are clear with the previous concepts. Okay, and that's why I gave you so much revision in this part, so that you are actually clear with the concepts that we have started before. Okay, so I'll continue with this lesson in the next part. Thank you everyone.